For this week's history video, I'd like to explore the incredible volatility in the polling in presidential campaigns. I'm appalled and infuriated when I hear people say that, Hillary's so far ahead that Trump can't possibly catch her, when her Real Clear Politics margin is about 5 or 6 in a two-way race and 3 or 4 in a four-way race. Nonsense. Ridiculous. Just go back over history. In 1980, in August, roughly this time, Jimmy Carter led Ronald Reagan by 45 to 29, a 16-point lead. And that was all based on the hope that the hostages were going to be released. Carter's convention, which nominated him, which gave him a significant bounce. And then the debates happened, and Reagan showed himself not to be crazy, not to be the bomb thrower that Carter would have us believe. And Carter really showed himself to be weak and got pushed around a lot by Reagan. And the hostage crisis continued, and Carter kept looking bad. And on Election Day, Reagan, who had been down by 16 points in August, won by 10 points. In 1988, 8 years later, there was much the same phenomenon. Mike Dukakis was leading Bush 41 by 17 points in August, and Bush ended up winning by 8 points. In August, he had just had his convention, just as Hillary has. There was the glow from it. The whole idea of an immigrant coming to America was their theme song. They're coming to America, and it was just a celebration of that. And then Bush went to work and pointed out their differences on issues like furloughs for lifers and mandatory Pledge of Allegiance and taxes and a whole range of issues. And by Election Day, Bush had recovered and ultimately ended up winning the election by 8 points. It happened again in 2000 when Gore faced Bush. And in the opening polling in August, Bush led Gore by 16 points at this point in the election. And ultimately, Bush defeated Gore in the popular vote, or lost to Gore in the popular vote by 0.5%. So 16.5 popular vote swing. And of course, what went on then was that Gore was being victimized because of the Lewinsky scandal and Clinton's immorality and the negatives from that. And Bush seemed to be a clean and clear-cut alternative. And then the debates happened, and Gore was able to close significantly, and ultimately fell short on Election Day in the Electoral College, but actually ended up winning the popular vote. In 2004, the same thing happened. John Kerry was 5 points ahead of Bush 43 at this time in 2004. And on Election Day, he lost by 3 points, an 8-point swing. At this point in August, Kerry had just had his convention and was being celebrated as a war hero, the swift boat hero. Kennedy gave a speech Clinton gave a speech saying, whenever there's a problem, send Kerry, send Lieutenant Kerry. And he posed as a patriot, wrapped in the flag. And then gradually the wrapping came off with the swift boat veterans talking about his lack of performance in Vietnam. And people remembered his opposition to the war with Jane Fonda when he came home. And in the debates, he really was not able to match Bush on the issues of national security. In the end, the election came down to a really unusual maneuver. The last debate was about domestic policy issues, and whereas the previous debates had been either about international or about anything they wanted, Kerry had lost because Bush had the edge on national security. The third debate, though, had to be about domestic policy, and there Kerry had a decided edge on health care, elderly, and all the education, the Democratic Party issues. So Bush went into that last week behind Kerry. And then the New York Times found an ammunition dump in Iraq that was unguarded, that had been looted by the insurgents who were killing Americans, and the blame attached to the Bush administration for leaving it unguarded. And Kerry pulled all his ads off the air in one of the classic mistakes. Stopped talking about domestic policy, focused on national security, which was Bush's turf. And then it came out later in the week that the dump had not been abandoned by Bush, but by Saddam Hussein, and had been empty long before U.S. troops arrived on the scene. But it didn't matter. I mean, Bush won that exchange, but he won the basic election because Kerry made the election about national security, where he was a loser, and not about domestic issues, where he was a winner. But the larger point here is these early polls do not mean very much in terms of really predicting the election. And don't buy that anything is set in stone. So send this around, because I don't think many people that are following this election breathlessly really understand this. And please share it with them, because the media is perpetrating the myth that this race is all but over, even though it's not even September yet. This lunch load is sponsored by Newific, that wants you to know the 3 foods that are killing you. 3 commonly consumed foods, banned in many countries, readily available in the United States, and frequently consumed here. The American Food Association has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to keep this information a secret. And just click on the end of this video and learn what those foods are and what they're doing to you. Thanks for watching.